Hey everybody, this is Locks with Meyer Electric, and today we're taking a look at the Razer Orbweaver Stealth. Many of you may know that I use a Logitech G13 primarily, and I do like that, and I wouldn't even be looking for another device. But I wanted something that had a better thumbstick on it, and after checking some reviews online, looking at different keypad devices, and there's not really very many of them, I came across the Razer Orbweaver Stealth. There's actually another Razer Orbweaver model, and they're differentiated by the keys that are used, and I think maybe the cable too. This is a braided cable. I don't think that the other Orbweaver used to have one anyway. So I was looking at this specifically because the G13's analog stick or D-pad isn't the greatest. I use it for weapon changes, inventory item switches, and it's hard to tell what direction you're hitting sometimes, down, up, left, right. If you hit a diagonal, sometimes you'll kind of trigger both of them, so you end up with the wrong item. I also use it for Orbweaver. I get like messed up camera changes if you watch our stream at all. And so I wanted something that was giving me some tactile kind of feedback, I think that's the right terminology there, or at least an audible click. And with this joystick, you're kind of getting both of those there. So this looked like a good solution, and from what I read online, a lot of people are actually kind of complaining about it, but I decided I'd take a risk. Before I get into all that, let me just kind of show you what this thing is all about, what Razer is kind of marketing this device as in terms of features and selling points. You can fully extend this device. It gains maybe, I don't know, an inch from that, half an inch. The little thumb module here that slides off, that goes in and out too, so fully extended for big hands. Yeah, something like that. And then you also have this little palm resty rocky thing. Pull out the pin there and it kind of rocks around. It won't lock in at any place. It's kind of like a weight bench or something where it locks in at like set levels. So it's like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 settings there. You got some keys here that look like they're, well, they're very velvety, I think is what Amanda said. So you press them and your finger just glides right across it very easily, maybe anti-sweat resistant, I don't know. This has got a rubbery base, this has got a rubbery top, and you got some rubbery feet there so it stays good to your desk, lots of it there actually. As I mentioned, you got a braided cable as well. And most importantly, it has mechanical switches. Mechanical switches are kind of like the, I don't know, creme, whatever the fuck, however you say it in gaming right now. That's the big thing, you know. People want keyboards, they want the mechanical keyboards. And this has mechanical keys. This is supposed to be the stealth keys, and I don't have all my cherry keys memorized. I think maybe the stealth ones are traditionally the brown ones, maybe the latter ones are the red or blues. But I wanted something that's quiet. You guys know I do streaming or whatever, so I went with this. So that's all the features I think that this is advertising, and I will amend what I said about the keys because they're technically not cherry, but I'll get back to that. So what do I think about this device? Well, I had to kind of play around with it quite a bit. I ended up doing a full extended adjustment on it to try and get comfortable with this thing. And here are the arrow keys here. They kind of define what is supposed to be your traditional WASD on here with little arrow indications. It might be kind of hard to see on the camera. But with my hand pressed on those, let me make sure I got this extended all the way. Yeah, that's out all the way. With my hand, I'm not, you know, an NBA basketball player or anything, but with my hand on these keys, you can see I'm like not even like really utilizing the palm rest. Let me make sure I got the palm rest in the fully back position here. You know, it rocks forward and back, and that will kind of move it up higher towards my hand, and that helps a little bit. But look how my hand is like really kind of like in a like claw formation using the default configuration. Further, if you flip over this way, my hand is doing like this, like, I don't know, loser like thing, like a real 90-degree sharp situation. So clawing and going like this, like do that with your hand right now. Like, and see how comfortable that feels to you. Like, you know, I don't know. Is it palsy people? That's terrible. I don't even want to go there. But I don't know who the hell they're making these game devices for. You know, I'm not an NBA player. I got that big old gap there. It's fucking uncomfortable as hell. Okay, moving on. I decided to to try and troubleshoot the problem, I would shift what is supposed to be your default WASD keys here up a level. So I did that, and my hand was finally able to actually come in contact with the palm rest there. So I was finally getting some support. My hand wasn't getting extremely tired, and so that was nice. Unfortunately, as soon as I move my hands up, it's like it really like makes this thumb thing like unusable. It's like a knuckle pad instead of a thumb pad. I got to go like back like this, which is terrible. And then to hit the space bar, I'm going out like that. So it's like I couldn't get comfortable on this thing. Now Amanda put her hand on it. Bam, you know, she was like, "Oh, this is nice, comfortable, I like it," and she was content as can be. Whereas I'm tortured by this thing. It's just simply uncomfortable. Also, these keys that I mentioned, you know, the anti-sweaty whatever, velvety keys, my hand just slip like all over them. I end up hitting keys that I don't want to all the time. I'm bringing up steam overlays and stuff that I don't want to. So really not the coolest setup. The software is very no frills. It works. It definitely works well. It was easy to change binds and stuff like that in. I guess I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about that, other than this thing is stuck as glowing green. Like you can't, I mean, I'm not super into my devices glowing and flashing and that sort of thing. Like Rawcat like really makes their stuff do that, configures it to do so. I think Logitech does too. But it's kind of weird what you get used to. I kind of got used to this configuration. So when I'm just stuck with green, I'm like, that doesn't jive. It's like, you know, if you got like green or red mouse, all of a sudden it's like Christmas, like game room Christmas, like, you know, all year round. And that's not cool. So my mouse is blue now. Blue and green. Or I guess I can make it green and be totally greened out. So yeah, it's just kind of an overall fail kind of situation. Not happy with it, but let me say that this is a $130 device, and now let me tell you what makes that extremely disappointing, other than it being painful to use when playing. When I first got it, this little palm rest thing here, the rubber was sticking up, like I don't know, I played it for maybe an hour or something, and I had to tuck it back in there, but this little rubber flap was coming up. Let's see, what else? Oh, Amanda like started complaining about the as soon as she touched it, this little module thing kind of like shifts around, you know, since it's kind of a separate unit. So she was like touching that, like, is that supposed to rock around? It's like, you know, you can see the wire through there. So it's, I don't know, kind of janky maybe. So that's the nature of that. And finally, I guess the other part that's kind of disappointing is, remember how I was talking about the cherry switches? Yeah, those were only in there when they first released this. So basically the strategy was, hey, here's your Razer Orbweaver with cherry switches. It's got cherry switches, and everybody does the reviews. Everyone's trying to cover relevant stuff, does a review. And then a few months later, or whatever it is, Razer decides to change the switches to their own in-house switches that are being manufactured in China. I believe they call that bait and switch is what that is, and that's bad for a big time developer person like Razer to be doing. And maybe it's not that bad. Maybe, you know, they expect, you know, consumers to research more, like, and, you know, current reviews and stuff. But, you know, not everybody's going to do that. So that's kind of a wonky thing to do. I feel like if you're going to put a device out there and you change it, you should be improving on it and not, you know, ganking it. And, you know, Razer will probably tell you that their switches are just as good or better. But, you know, a lot of times people buy stuff for the name, and that could be, you know, really all this is. So I guess I could rant on Razer a little bit more, as I tend to like to do these days, because this design, it's antiquated, I feel like now. I own the N52, which I really liked. It was originally owned, I think, by Bilkin, and the N52 TE, I believe, is when Razer started they may have purchased the rights to it. And I own that one as well. It wasn't dramatically changed. It basically had a bunch of Razer's marketing. It was black, and it had lights and stuff like that in it. It was pretty cool, but then I ended up switching to the Logitech G13 after that. But Razer really hasn't changed the design like a whole lot. You know, they put this palm rest on here, and they changed the D-pad. And, you know, the D-pad was for the better. And I can't really say that this palm rest is. Kind of veering off topic here, but while I'm thinking about it, when you're trying to get over here to this thumb rest, this corner right here is the most painful thing I've ever encountered when gaming. This sharp little corner will stab you in your hand after a while, if you got big hands and you're really trying to get over there to that, so that sucks. Anyway, Razer, yeah, I'm not too happy with them. I don't feel like they really push innovation a whole lot. I feel like Rockats, in terms of gaming peripherals, they're the ones that are really driving innovation, or at least they have on some of their past mice. I feel like Logitech will try and innovate as well. Obviously, you know, the MX500 series of mice, they were adding buttons and changing stuff around. I feel like Logitech will innovate, has a nice combination between innovating and refining a product. And I think that Roccat in a lot of ways kind of borrows some stuff from Logitech, but they seem more game oriented. I really like what Roccat has done. But Razer, you know, they just have a tradition dating back to the Boomslang. When I first started kind of paying attention to them, the Boomslang, I think, was a widely known mouse back in 2002, 2003. I'm not really sure. And it was a ball mouse when all these other mice were optical, but it boasted like a really high DPI, so it was kind of, and it would look, black or whatever. So it was definitely being marketed towards gamers, but it felt old back then. It was still a ball mouse. And I really feel like Razer is kind of slow at adopting. I mean, their main thing is supposed to be peripherals. They get into headsets, they get into all this, but I feel like they're neglecting this. Just because they bought the rights, to use the N52 years ago, doesn't mean that they should be forced to utilize that design. So I guess I'm going to get off my soapbox. I just wish that Razer would be more innovative. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So that's my review. I wish I could keep this. I'm sending it back to Razer. I'm sticking with my G13. I really hope that Roccat gets in the game and offers a similar sort of device. Or I hope that Logitech goes in and refines the G13, fixing the D-pad for something that I can actually use. So thanks for watching, guys. Leave your comments and feedback below. And if you have any questions, ask them, and hopefully I'll get around to answering them. Thanks for watching. Bye.